following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Bojangles studio. We got Denny Hamlin, the winner at Richmond, calling in. Amy is going to be back on the show talking about Easter and all our fun we had this weekend. It's going to be a great show. Let's get started. All right, everybody, let's get started. It's been, every single week we're getting ready to do this show. I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about? We got to get in the notes. I got to come up with some But, man, it's been easy this year. NASCAR and the sport, and the drivers giving us tons of things to discuss. There's no shortage of topics to discuss, and we're going to dive into it. Denny Hamlin wins the race this weekend, jumps to the last restart. The funny part about that, man, is all right, so there's a lot here. First off, today's Dirty Air segment is brought to you by Tire Pros. Whether you know a lot about cars or a little, the pros at Tire Pros are a go-to. From an oil change to an engine repair, they've got you covered. Visit your local Tire Pros today. They're such a great partner. Obviously, sponsoring us here in the Xfinity Series and Junior Motorsports, but I love that they're part of this the Dirty Mo Media efforts. Okay, diving right into the Cup race. Let's see. Starting in the damp, I'm really happy that this is happening. Finally, we're racing on damp racetracks, ovals. Mm-hmm. Man, I feel like we could have done this years ago. I really do. I mean, these tires, I don't know, had rain tires for quite a while now. Goodyear knows how to build a wet weather tire. It's not like a new concept, but it's just kind of, I think a little dragging of feet, maybe feeling like it might not be necessary as a sport to race on a damp or a wet racetrack. Were the cars ready for it? I don't know if the older cars would have handled that as well, but finally, regardless of how long it took us to get here, we are starting races in damp conditions. That's good progress. I think we'll eventually get to where, we're racing a little more confidently in these type of conditions where it's not so much apprehension. You kind of feel it as we're building up to the start of the race. They're like, are we making the right call here? Is this going to be a disaster, right? Everybody's tuning in. I'm tuning in thinking, oh, man, what the hell is going to happen? They go down in turn one. They're going to fly into the wall. What's going to, and they just went right around the corner. I'm telling you, man, the damn rain tire is amazing. It's really soft, got a lot of grip, and it drives really, really well on those damp racetracks. And my whole thing is that I hope NASCAR will start to allow these teams to have a little more control over when they switch to the dries. I totally understand that the pit stops have to be controlled because it's a wet pit road. Drivers don't have a lot of experience coming down those wet pit roads. We do not need cars sliding into pit crew members. We don't need damage, cars hurting individuals on pit road. I love the safety aspect of that, and area, being conservative with that is very, very smart, but I really do wish that they would allow the teams to determine when they'll run a dry tire or a wet tire. And, hey, man, these are experts, crew chiefs, engineers. They know what the hell they're doing. Let them do it. Let them choose, and just take that out of the NASCAR booth, right? That'd be one thing that I'd love to see going forward, and I hope that NASCAR will get there. That is a bit tough to do, I think, with the controlled stops. And it's not that – I don't think it makes it that challenging as long as there will be controlled stops until pit road is safe, until they deem pit road safe. I think, the tire strategy's straightforward. Not a big challenge for the crew chief. So just let them have it, I think. Right?
I don't know. I think just having the option, but you have to have a controlled stop. It just seems like it would be difficult to merge the two, just because, I guess the only time we really have the option is NASCAR's deemed competition caution, right?
Yeah, but so NASCAR is going to throw a comp yellow. They don't have to. Comp yellow is probably not that necessary. they did have tires that kind of chunked and fell off really, really bad for a couple guys at North Wilkesboro during the All-Star race, but the track dried up and they continued to run, right? On a dry racetrack with a rain tire, that's not going to be good for that tire. But that's what the race is about, right? Let it play out. Let the damn race play out. So, let the teams decide what they can decide, what they put as much in their hands as you can, I think. Outside of being, outside of the controlled pit stops, like definitely, wait for pit road to get dry. I think also, so I would say good job NASCAR, good job Goodyear on the tire, good job drivers, teams, everything there went really, really well, and it was compelling, good racing. And it shows you that, the tire plays a major factor in the product that we see on the racetrack. I think I'm jumping a little bit ahead because this is steering me toward the conversation around whether Richmond should have a second date or not.
Mm-hmm.
We end this race. Jeff Gluck's pole was literally somewhat like 50-50.
Last I checked, it was like 51-49 or something like that.
A lot of people didn't like the race. A lot of people didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was a good race. We had the starting and the damp. We had getting on the slicks and figuring that out. But eventually, yes, everybody went right to the bottom of the racetrack, and it was single file, and it was dominated mainly by Truex for the most part. But you had some other things happening, other races happening on the racetrack. But Richmond. Somebody said it earlier this weekend. It's an acquired taste. It's like beer. Like I hated beer forever until I, got a sponsorship from Budweiser, and I'm like, I've got to like beer, and I learned to love it. Yeah. It's definitely not everybody's cup of tea. I just feel like blaming the track is the wrong thing to do here.
100%.
It is not the track, man.
I
will play you. We'll go. Everybody says that Richmond sucked for the last 20 years. Okay, I can go back and they were running along there at one point with the rain tires, and they were way up the racetrack, and which we love to see, and cars were using all kinds of different lanes. And Clint Boyer said, "I've never seen them run this high." Well, I remember a race not very long ago where they were running the fence on both ends, and so. What determines that? The tire. Goodyear can bring a different tire, and absolutely it changes where they run on the racetrack and how they use the track. And so, look, man, I don't know what type of tire they need to bring. I don't know what the compound is or the sidewall construction or what triggers a great multi-groove Richmond racetrack, but it is in that tire. And so, it's kind of like, it's kind of like can in a Corvette because it's got a bad spark plug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're really be careful what you wish for. No, there ain't no freaking telling where we're going to end up going when they take away a race from Richmond, and that's probably not going to be somewhere I want to go.
Is the tire conversation, because I think Bristol opened our eyes so much with how valuable a good I guess in that case it was a bad tire in terms of wear and how long it would last. Like
a great tire.
So which just makes it a good tire. Is the tire conversation almost more important than the actual car package conversation that we've been having for years and years?
Yes. So the race at Bristol showed what a lot of us already knew. If you've been in this industry for 10, 15, 20 years, racing cars, even going further back, you already knew what a lot of people learned about the tire and what it can do for a race like it did at Bristol. And so now the Bristol tire is an extreme example, but that showed you that what went away, right? Aero type.
Mm-hmm.
Can't pass. We had guys bumping each other in the middle of the corner. When they're all on the throttle and running their ass off, hauling ass through the corner, they can't even reach each other. You lose the nose before you can get to a guy. If I told you, if you're following a guy down the back straightaway at Richmond or Bristol, and I tell you, I want you to hit him in the ass in the middle of the corner, you couldn't do it. You drive off in there, and before you get to him, the front tires are going to start chattering, or the back's going to step out because of the aero. But when you had that tire we had at Bristol, you could hit the guy in front of you because everybody was having to take care of their tires and to kind of underdrive the car. And so, which is really what everyone was doing in the 80s and a large portion of the 90s. That's how every race was. And so, the heyday, right? The time of NASCAR where we were sort of building this massive audience where we peaked around 2004. And so, if you find the combination that gives you something similar to what you saw at Bristol, if you find that combination at Richmond, you won't want to lose that second date. Racing on Easter is not helpful. I mean, I know other sports play on Easter and other things happen, but I'm not going to those. I'm not ever going to be at a sporting event on the Easter holiday. I'm not.
Yeah, same.
Not happening. So it's not entirely necessary that we do that. That is not going to help your walk-up crowd, your ticket, sale. That is not going to help, and I don't think it really helps your TV audience. People are doing shit on Easter.
Yeah. Time slot I felt like that was purposeful for the Easter, like almost like recreating a Thanksgiving evening. Hey, let's turn on some football. Like this is the Easter, night race that we can tune into.
I suppose that works when it's tradition.
Yeah.
Like when every Thanksgiving you're going to turn on the NFL and you're going to see Dallas and the Lions play.
Right.
Every freaking year. It seems like that's only game. There were a couple of games playing, but I mean, I always remember like Dallas and the Lions playing. I'm like, damn it, this is boring as hell. For a Washington fan. But there were a couple times Washington and Dallas played, I think. But my point is that's a tradition. You're not gonna just all of a sudden hammer this round peg in a square hole and say, hey man, now we're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm probably, this is probably pointless to make this argument, but I hate to see all of these things that work against Richmond. The track is completely innocent in this. The track is perfectly fine, and it would be, with a couple changes, a very kick-ass place to race. I've told them for years about sealing that racetrack. If you go back and look at the races that we all loved when, Ricky Rudd was wrecking the hell out of Harvick and all these crazy things were happening at that racetrack, they either had relatively new pavement or they had sealer on the racetrack that you were chasing and running multiple grooves with. But they won't do it. They refuse to seal that racetrack. I don't understand that. They're going to lose a date. They're going to lose a date because of how stubborn, I guess, they are about it. And to point at the track and even the car, I got to kind of give the next gen car a little bit of a break here. And it's not that Goodyear builds a shitty tire. They just got to figure out what the combination is that's going to produce good multiple race. There was no rubber put down on that racetrack. That tire did not rubber in the track.
Was that because of temperature?
There's maybe some temperature issues there, but that's not the only answer. I mean, you got to be able to rubber in a racetrack. I don't care if it's 50 degrees or 100 degrees outside. The tire should be able to rubber in. And again, I mean, this is it's pointless to bring this up because it's never going to change. But when they went to the green tire, they took a bunch of oils and chemicals out of it. If you look at the short track tire that a lot of series run across the country, it marbles different. It rubbers the track in differently. It's a traditional tire that has all of those chemicals and oils in it. Goodyear went to a green process in building their tires, and it absolutely had an effect on how that tire works with the racetrack and how it rubbers up the racetrack. And the tire doesn't really paint the racetrack like it used to. right? It used to paint it dark.
Right.
Now the tire rubber that comes off of the tire comes off in a very dry, sort of shredded
Yeah.
Consistency, and that is not painting the track and rubbering in and working itself into the surface of the racetrack, and that's suffering. The product suffers a little bit from that.
Is Goodyear's hesitation the fact that, and again, it's like the classic PR look of like, well, they're in the tire business, right?
Yeah.
So they want to make it look like they have reliable tires. Is that still the conundrum that they're in?
So
Is that what's holding us back from this type of Bristol tire again?
yes, I read about this maybe a year or two ago. There was a past tire manufacturer that would not, that chose not. They had an opportunity to be in F1 and they chose not to be there. And everybody, they were asked. One of the CEOs in this tire company was asked, "Why won't you participate?" And they said, "Well, they want us to build tires that wear and degrade and potentially have issues like chunking and failure. And we're not in the business of building that type of tire. We build tires that last. We build tires that are durable." And we're not going to build a tire that showcases how it falls apart or wears out or only lasts a couple hundred miles or whatever, right? And so I was like, okay, put yourself in the position of the CEO or the person running that tire manufacturer. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want a tire that makes your product look bad, right? So people are going to go, well, all those damn tires wore out and they blew out, they fall apart. I ain't going to buy one of them on Monday. I'm not putting that shit on my truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a bit of a tough situation that the tire companies are in.
Yeah, but see, I disagree because in my opinion, if Goodyear can come out and make a tire that works specifically for NASCAR,
Yeah.
like what is that? Shouldn't that be more like, it's like, oh wow, you're even more innovative.
That
You're
should be championed.
Yeah, it's like you have the capability to do something different.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I imagine you could do something even better for my road tire if you
I agree.
had this technology.
Well, you're right, but then the driver, like somebody, and maybe even me, I've done this. You can't get out of the car when your tire blows out.
And
Shit on
blame
Goodyear.
Goodyear and shit on them. That they can't avoid that PR, right? If a reputable driver and his legion of fans, they're all going to be like, "Hey, my driver said your tire sucks."
Right.
Your tire sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
that is that.
It's a tough situation.
I don't envy that
Yeah.
situation because that's a damn
Well,
fine line.
I'm telling you, man, all of these things are going to cost Richmond a date, and it does not deserve it. It deserves to have 2 dates, and here we go. We're going to lose another short track race and probably end up at a road course.
How in jeopardy are we? I mean, this is. I feel like
I think it's going to happen.
done.
I think
this
the
is the
decision's
last
already
2
made.
year.
Yeah.
Let me ask, kind of going back to the, was it a good race question? How much of the finish and the exciting end to the race, the restart, Larson spinning, Denny winning, how much of that plays into your feeling of, oh, this was a good race? Because I feel like that kind of saved it for me.
Yeah. I feel like that we forgot how much fun we had those first 100 laps.
Yeah, I would say stage 3 kind of lost me. Stages 1 and 2 with the
Yeah.
varying strategy, I think, was interesting.
Well,
and
I mean,
the tires.
It
but
was, dude, we were really set up for a pretty interesting race in terms of strategy until the freaking yellow come out for Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
That everything up. That was so frustrating.
I could not believe that. I was like, that was the caution?
Here's where this is my biggest holdup on it was, didn't they not throw yellow at Atlanta because it was
Dude.
going to interrupt strategy? And this yellow got thrown and it interrupted strategy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying those are the same instances, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I just don't understand. I don't think you could make me understand why the yellow had to be thrown right there.
Elton Sawyer said it looked like he had a right front down or brake failure, which is why we threw the caution.
Yeah, and he ended up. Where did he finish?
Tell you.
I remember seeing later in the race he got back into the top 20. Kyle Busch.
He finished.
But I mean, he wasn't
14th.
Yeah, 14th. Oh my God. So I mean,
Brake failure.
we've seen that car. When he hit the wall, I thought, man, he's probably bent the toe link, and then I saw he's running 18th, 19th, and that made me even more like that they threw that yellow because I mean his car's not even hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean he drove the thing right back up into the top 20. Look, you know there's going to be yellows that don't necessarily need to be yellows. That's absolutely one of them. I know they're going to happen.
20th. Misspoke.
Yeah, sorry. I know that's going to happen. It's just frustrating, man. Because yes, the strategy was looking. That was. If you said, "Hey, man, why are you entertained right now?" Right? If you had a list, if everybody's watching the race right before this yellow comes out, why are you entertained?
Yeah, he's watching the strategy play out.
Strategy is going to be in the top 2 or 3 answers of everybody that's watching the race, and that got like freaking completely wiped off the face of the experience. That was frustrating.
That kind of seemed to take it out of Larson's hands. Seemed like it was Larson's race the first half, and then second half, Truex benefited from the caution more than Larson did, and it was a Truex afternoon up until Denny stole the whole thing. But
so we got Denny on the line.
We do.
Denny, the winner of the race, he's calling in. Let's go ahead and get Denny up here. Thanks for giving us a few minutes today, Denny.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So where are you? Where is this at home or are you at your race shop?
I'm at home.
You're home, okay.
No, I'm at home.
Looks official, hard to tell. Are you how busy are you this week? I feel like you're going to be busy.
I'm about the same as I usually am. I try to get a 1 day off a week. That's usually Friday. Friday's the only day that I don't technically have anything going on, but every day this week, meetings upon sim, upon just never stops.
What was yesterday? What did y'all meet about yesterday?
Had 2311 yesterday, had JGR yesterday, had the sim yesterday.
Yep. Who is JGR comp meetings in person?
Yes.
Did Truex come? I can't imagine him
Truex
never coming.
Not come to a JGR meeting in 3 years.
I know. He was probably sitting under a tree somewhere at a fishing camp or something. Every time I've ever been around him he's always doing his he'll go out away from we got this hunting camp, and he'll go walk out and sit under a tree to do his competition meeting. So all right, so that probably wasn't too awkward since he wasn't in person. I know I saw some of your stuff where you reached out to him and was like, man, what's the deal? But you feel like that that's all good.
Yeah, I didn't think I did anything wrong to him.
Right. And is he going to be okay?
I think he's going to be all right. Yep. I think he's getting the therapy he needs, which is out in the wood. He's out in the woods or he's fishing, and that's what he needs. I think he needed a night to sleep on it and get over it. But I definitely understood, and I empathize with him a little bit. Yeah. Says, listen, as rightfully so, you were upset for a vast majority of vast reasons, and you deserve to be. So.
Yeah, I've been buddies with him a long time, and I've always wanted him to be more aggressive, or so think back to when Logano run over him at Martinsville and stuff. And then he's like, well, he's not gonna win the war. And then I sat there in the booth for NBC watching the Homestead race, and it comes down between him and Truex, and here comes the 22 and drives right around the outside of him. I'm like, damn it, why didn't you hit him or something, right? But so I guess
it's not his DNA. That's
for
sure.
It isn't, right? So he comes out, he's bashing into the 5 car on the back straightaway, coming to the checker and all that stuff, and I was like, whoa, he was hot as I've ever seen him.
I think we got to understand that was the 6th time that he had led over 100 laps at Richmond, and it has not won.
Yeah.
So he had enough.
Yeah, I agree. So you put the tweet out yesterday joking a little bit about April Fools, and you might have been joking, but you somewhat admitted that you jumped the start.
That was an April Fool's joke.
I know.
I wasn't.
Well, all right. I think I'm taking it as an admission of guilt. So what does the question for me now is, I'm fine. You got away with one. You got to try to do everything you can. If you take maybe not these cars, but over the past 50 years in NASCAR, if you really wanted to take all the cars back to the R&D Center, you could find something. There's something on all of the cars that have ever raced a race that aren't going to be past perfect technical inspection. So we've been pushing the limits, and you've got to push the limits as a driver. What does NASCAR need to do now? That's my biggest question, because you and me been doing this a long time, and we would have situations like this where the drivers sort of would discover a loophole, right? The drivers would take advantage or abuse a certain situation, and most of the time NASCAR would then come back and say, at the next drivers meeting or whatever, all right, guys, this is what we want going forward. Do you think NASCAR needs to say anything? Do you think NASCAR needs to clarify or make it understood? Because, all right, for me, all of these years, I always thought you had to go in the box. After what happened the other night and the conversation with NASCAR, now it seems like it's a little loose. It's not, the zone's just a suggestion, right? Does NASCAR need to come in and say anything? Because I know maybe you might not ask the question at the driver's meeting. There's 5 or 10 drivers going, okay, well, what's the deal? Are we going to be able to, bend it a little bit in those scenarios or those situations? And so what would you want NASCAR to do?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I think that we've just gotten so smart when it comes to the drivers. In understanding how to get good restarts, how to take advantage of the system. We've really got educated on that, and it's through people like Josh Wise and whatnot that educate these drivers on, hey, here's the rule, and here's how we're going to get around that rule. If you're P2 or P3, we're going to roll up on these guys. And you're going to carry that speed, and you're going to be able to take over first place entering turn 1. And so as we come up and we keep getting smarter in those situations, then the leader then needs to counter with his own strategy to throw those guys off. So that's what I was trying to do, was throw those guys off and say, well, I know what your plan is. I can see it starting, and I ain't gonna let you dictate this restart. And so I was trying to go early in the zone. I was not trying to go before the zone.
Yeah.
And like I said yesterday, I can see that through video and on TV, it looks one way and it felt another in the race car. I can tell you that for sure. I'm looking all over the place. I can barely see anything in my dash, but I can't see that I'm 4 or 5 foot early or whatever it was. Like, it was really small, but I don't know what they can do other than make the zone bigger, because otherwise everyone's just going to continue to creep towards the leader as we approach the zone. And the zone is so small in the sense of, they know that if you go early, we're going to time it perfectly there. If you go late, we're going to time it perfectly there. So it's, other than if you made the zone bigger, and I think they experimented with that at one time and then they cut it back.
Yeah.
I think they had a mess during maybe the Roval or something. I'm not really sure what track it was, but yeah, I don't know what you do other than, it's kind of it's a zone. That's all I can say. It's a zone.
So NASCAR did expand the restart zone, I think middle of last year, or coming into last season, they doubled it. So that would be a great conversation to have. Maybe the restart zone, could go away, or there could be a line, coming through turn 4 that you can't start before that line, but then you have several hundred yards all the way to the flag stand to go whenever you want it. And to your point, like, you take, if you're the leader of the race, you want the advantage. Maybe they put the leader out there by himself, and you double file behind the leader. So I thought about the restart. Maybe it's not so much NASCAR clarifying what needs to happen going forward with the current situation, current restart box and all that, but maybe they could change it. Maybe it just does need to evolve a little bit physically. The restart zone itself could change quite a bit.
Do we need to be reactive about this though, or everything is?
Well, I worry.
Yeah,
Maybe we don't need to get crazy and change it, but I think that NASCAR certainly has to step in and go, well, we need to clarify what's fair, what's a good restart, and what's not. Because I thought, right,
yeah.
I thought you had to go in the box. NASCAR's now saying, it's whatever, And so if NASCAR doesn't say something in the next drivers' meeting or send out a bulletin to the teams or whatever, I think this could get crazier, right? And then what's going to happen is, and we've seen this many, many times, somebody's going to do exactly what you did 3 months from now and get penalized, right? And then it's going to be, well, what the hell? It's inconsistent. So that's the only thing I'm worried about.
Not if they say we're going to enforce it line to line from now on.
Right.
It's so different than NBA refs, right? When they say in the offseason, the owners or whatever it might be, they want to emphasize on this call this year.
Yeah.
So then they start calling that call. I don't think, you bring up a valid point that I think, you do. If you say nothing, then it definitely could get out of hand. But if you do say something, if NASCAR says something and says, from this point on, we're going to look at it closer, then you can't bitch about the call that comes the next time.
I think when they painted those lines on the walls, it was kind of, you couldn't never really specifically say, okay, he went a foot early, because there was no real perfect reference. The line on the walls were just a suggestion, and when they paint them on the track, that's when things get a little more, precise. Take those lines off the track. Just leave them on the wall. Go back to making it a judgment call. If you're going to have the lines on the track, it's just like the commitment cone box. You can't touch that. You can't touch the choose box. You can't go before this line. I mean, that's where, in my mind, when NASCAR put the line on the track, they were making a defined area. And so I'd love them to clear that up.
Very, for sure.
So moving on, man. Hey, I just want to say, my question, my position's really against NASCAR and what will they do? I guess I'll be watching to see what they do. But man, you got away with one. You got to do that. And like I say, there's drivers out there every week trying to take advantage of everything they can, and so I don't really fault you for what you did there, and you made it work. So my next thing I got to go to, we talked about this last week, is the scooter gang. What is I know, all right, COTA is a long racetrack. So is there a scooter deal? Does 2311 have a scooter deal? Because everybody's got scooters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's 9 or 10 scooters that they carry around. Yes.
Do y'all have a deal? Y'all have a scooter sponsor? Okay.
We do not. Yeah, we do not.
I noticed that Kurt's scooter looked awful lot like a city scooter, like he was renting that one.
It looks a lot like it's electric.
Yes. Are you not? Is it like bad form to have electric?
Yeah, you can't have any motorized vehicles.
I know that's the rule, but for me, then, that's not motorized. That's electric.
It's like the restart rule.
Yeah. Oh, it's a little gray. So, do y'all? Let me ask this question. So, what role does Kurt play with the team?
He assists the drivers in, certain situations where, hey, be looking out for this, or be looking out for that. He'll also make comments for us in our drivers meeting about what he saw other drivers doing.
Yep.
So he's kind of just our eyes and ears out there, I guess you would say. for our race team. It's kind of like a consultant, I would say.
Because I see him, man. He's all over the place. He's like on some sort of a sabbatical or some kind of a tour. Yeah.
And when we need him to fill in, say our driver's got, 2 sponsor asks at the same time.
Oh,
Kurt will help fill in.
That's nice.
Those roles as well.
So does the shoes, Reddick every week he does the scooter and the shoe post.
Yep.
Is he on a shoe deal?
He's on a shoe deal. Yeah. He think about it like an engine program. He might be on the B program right now. the B engine, but he's on a program, which is good. So I don't know that he gets kind of one of everything that they make.
Dang.
That's kind of like the A program.
That's what you get.
I get
That's
a lot of
program.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that he's slowly working his way into that program.
Yep.
Yes.
I got you. I saw a little conversation where this comes up from time to time, which I kind of like. Apparently, there's a little clip of you talking about Southside Speedway. Maybe you mentioned had somebody ask you something about that during the post race winners press conference at Richmond, and you still are of the position that should the opportunity present itself for you to be involved in the future of that racetrack, you're interested.
Oh, 100%. It's just, where am I going to get the funding to do it, right? That's the challenge. And so, I mean, I've had, Zoom calls with different legislators and with the county and both the state on, kind of trying to figure out the best way to approach this. But yeah, I mean, certainly from a tourism perspective, it absolutely is a revenue generator. It's just how do you quantify it is tough part about it. But it's a short track that's sitting in there right now. It's got the land to, it really needs to kind of be revamped in a big kind of way. But it needs, a few $1 million worth of true work done to it to revive it. And so I'd love to do it because it's such a great area. I mean, if you look at our television audience, week in, week out, Richmond's always one of the highest. So you have people that are very interested in short track racing in that area. It's just a matter of, it's a matter of who pays for it. I told them I'm okay with running. I'd love to run it and help them bring some different touring series there if I could. But it's going to come down to whether they deem that property valuable as much as us racers do.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting, man. it'd be cool as hell to see that place come back and for you to have your your image and reputation behind it. So I'm pulling for that. I know it kind of pops up every 6-12 months.
Yeah.
Man, I really appreciate you giving us a lot of time. I know you got a lot going on, and just incredible start to the year. One last thing I got to ask you before I let you go. You started 2311, and the team has gotten better and better, and the resources and building a new shop, and it's really at a fast pace in terms of how this team has grown and what it's become. And I think you made some comments recently that suggested that, you might daydream about driving for that team. And I know that you probably, you certainly don't want to create any unnecessary confusion with JGR and all that stuff. My dad kind of found himself in a similar scenario when he was racing at the end of his career with RCR, and he's building DEI, and they're like, wow, would you ever drive for yourself? And he's like, oh man, I got to say the right thing here. And so, were those comments things, did you have to clarify those comments? Did you go back to Joe and say, hey man, you don't have nothing to worry about? I think that it's a given for anybody that builds a race team and that's still a driver. You would always have some interest in driving your own stuff. Whether that really happens or not, I mean, I don't think we know, but you got to be careful there because those comments could create unnecessary confusion with your own current team, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Gibbs's reaction is that, hey, we want you longer than your current deal. Let's start working on that. That's how he started that conversation. But yes, it's a daydream, right? I mean, you have to have so many things in place for you to win, and just say I'm gonna start another team, and go drive for it. It's very, very difficult. I mean, obviously this weekend the pit crew won me the race. Well, they've been in the development stages at JGR for 5 years or something like that. Like it just doesn't happen overnight. And so it'd be very tough for me to leave the situation I'm in where I know I can win every single week. I think the daydreaming about driving your own stuff, I hear you say the stuff, it was different back in the day because DEI, he hired these people and then they had the minds to develop a car, build a car, design a car, and put it on the racetrack. Today, we all drive the same homogenizated car. So I don't, it's probably a little different. It would be more of a name than anything. Those guys at 2311 drive, just as good of equipment as the guys at JGR. It's just all the other parts and pieces of building a team. I mean, I'm still going through it now with the 23 car, right? They had a bad pit stop on the last stop. I mean, it's this pit crew stuff is taking and is going to take years and years for us to get to a top level. And I don't want to waste the last few years of my career, whenever that might be, building a team.
For sure.
Especially when I'm already in an established team that can win every single week.
Man, that's what I thought. That's a great answer. Appreciate the time today, bud. Enjoy the success on the racetrack and off, and appreciate everything you're doing with Dirty Mo Media. Actions Detrimental every single week, out every Monday. We love the access, hearing the current driver and his thoughts on what's going on in the sport. And good luck this weekend, man. Martinsville coming up.
Dalton, did you know that Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the U.S. with more than 10,000 different kinds of plants and over 2 million happy customers in the U.S.?
Not until now.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you. They have everything that you could possibly want, like fruit trees, palm trees, evergreens, houseplants, and so much more. Whatever you're interested in, they have it for you. Find the perfect fit for your climate and space. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to order online. Your plants are shipped directly to your door in 1 to 2 days. And along with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, they offer free plant consultation forever.
It's nice because I'm a new homeowner, and so I don't have to worry about talking to a landscaper, having them charge me a bunch of money. I can get my trees directly from Fast Growing Trees for any yard project I want to work on.
There you go. This spring, they have the best deals online, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get an additional 15% off their first purchase when using the code Dale Jr. at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code Dale Jr. at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code Dale Jr. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply.
I appreciate him being really fair, and I feel like I'm hopeful that NASCAR will I think the only thing that I need is for NASCAR to say, hey, here's what we expect going forward. Just clear it up a little bit. I'm a little confused. Then the NASCAR rule book says the initial start and all restarts shall be initiated within the restart zone on the racetrack. Within the restart zone on the racetrack. The lines on the wall and on the racetrack designate the start of the restart zone. If the lead vehicle does not restart in that time, if the lead vehicle does not restart by the time it reaches the exit of this zone, then the starter will initiate the restart of the race. So, that last line's not relative to this conversation.
Quite the opposite of that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's telling me that the start happens in this box, not before it. And like I talked about with Denny, we used to have painted lines on the walls and exactly where the zone began and ended was debatable. But when they paint the lines on the track, that suggests a defined area. And when you do that along with the wording of the NASCAR rule book, you have a clear definition of a good or a bad restart. And Sunday was a bad restart. You can't hit the choose box or you're going to be penalized. You can't clip the orange commitment cone or the commitment box coming to pit road. You're going to be penalized. You can't pit your car over the line of your pit stall during a pit stop or you're going to be penalized. You absolutely cannot fire before the line of the restart zone. The rule is clear as day. NASCAR should have thrown a yellow or something like that. They give Denny a warning, re-rack them, have the restart all over again.
As of this morning, Elton Sawyer on Sirius XM said there's no doubt he rolled early. If this happens at lap 10 or 50 or 300, the call could have been different.
Going forward, we need clear messaging from NASCAR, and that's not helpful, right? To me, that's
the biggest problem.
That's muddying the waters even more. They've got to settle any misunderstanding about the restart rules. I've seen them penalize drivers. They've black flag drivers. They've thrown yellows and re-racked them and gave warnings. Whatever they want to do, they got to react. They can't just let it go. And so, look, I didn't see it.
No one did.
No one did.
Like in the moment when it happened, the race, the race goes.
Well, Fox didn't show it, so you definitely didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, but if I'm there in that booth and I'm curious, I mean, I know they only got maybe a minute before the race is over, so they got to act fast. But look, we've got all this technology on pit road that even without a human can designate somebody that's got has an infraction or a penalty on pit road. We got all this technology that should, if we have the for this restart zone, that technology should have been here already.
It's no different than the tech at COTA for track limits. It's the same. They're positioning the car at some point. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
I agree. I mean, it's just like the commitment line on the pit road. You got to do that properly. If you clip it, they're getting your ass.
Right.
This is and if they're going to have that line on the racetrack, I see that as a defined area.
Yeah.
Right.
That is not a suggestion. That is not and so just come out and say the rule is you go inside the zone.
Right.
Don't make us come after you.
Right. Yeah. I'm of the camp that I don't want more rules on this sport, but there should be some rules that are black and white.
That to come out and say, I think if it happened on lap 10, we'd have called it differently. That makes me even more angry.
Yeah.
Why are you calling the race differently depending upon
circumstance?
The laps.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
The rule book is the rule in the book. It's black and white. It's on or off. It's yes and no. It doesn't change at lap 450 or lap 5. The rule for the rule for engines, bodies, all those things are consistent. They don't change depending upon the lap of the race.
Right. Yeah.
What other rules are ebbing and flowing with the laps of the race?
His car was outside the box, but it was the last pit stop, so we'll give it to him. That doesn't make sense.
Oh, all right. I gotta calm down.
Elton Sawyer said after the race, we reviewed that. We looked at it. Obviously, the 11 was the control vehicle. It was awful close, but we deemed it to be a good restart.
Yeah, that was comments. That was
right afterwards.
Right after the race.
So it's like, that's my biggest. Like, where's the
inconsistent?
Yeah, I just don't think they had a good grasp on.
I don't think
the
they
restart.
had a statement prepared.
Nope.
Is what it sounds
Yeah.
like. It sounds like that they didn't have a very good statement prepared for that moment. I believe that, look, these are human beings, and we're all imperfect, and I don't expect everything to go perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, and we're gonna miss some calls. We're gonna make some mistakes. It's okay. It's okay if that was a call they missed. Look, I'm not mad. Denny's the winner. He's the winner. I'm fine with that. But tell me that it was a bad restart. It was a missed call, and tell me clearly what the rule is going forward. And do not continue taking me down this road of, well, it's the end of the race and rules are a little different then, and I don't know, we'd have probably called it differently, and well, we reviewed it and it was good. And I mean, this seems so simple on what the right thing to do here is.
Is there any validity to like Truex potentially laying back, Logano potentially laying back, where they would gain an advantage on this restart? And so it was almost like eye for an eye. The second and third place cars weren't doing what they were doing. Neither was Denny. Like, everyone was violating the restart almost. Is there any validity to that being some of? I'm speaking for NASCAR, but could that be something that went into their reasoning on in the moment why they deemed it to be a good restart?
No. I have not heard one comment about what Denny or what Joey and what the only person that has ever mentioned anything about Joe Logano and Truex and being at a disadvantage is Denny.
Right.
No one else in this conversation is saying, well, you saw Truex laying back. Well, you saw Truex rolling forward, getting taking advantage, getting ready to kick Denny's ass on that restart. Denny launched, and when he got to the restart box, he was a car length ahead. And they did not. People were saying, some people, they got even by the start finish line. They did not.
No, he was out there.
That doesn't even matter. Hey, man. I cheated, but you still beat me, or you still
Yeah, but you were almost there.
You're still okay, right?
Amy's here.
Yeah, let's stop talking about
Yeah.
It sounds like an old man complaining.
It does not. No, not to me.
Not this.
Not this time.
Not this
No,
one.
I think I'm in the majority on this one. Come on, Amy. All right, so my lovely wife Amy has joined me at the table, and we're just coming off of our conversation around the Cup race. And we're trying to calm down.
Got a little amped up there.
Yeah, just I get a little frustrated, but that's what we do here. This is therapy.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you come in here and yell at the clouds and get it all out.
Yell at the clouds.
Yes, and
he's been saying that at home, by the way.
Has
you
he?
guys told him that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Old
worry
man
about me.
yells
I'm
at
just
cloud.
yelling at the clouds.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring Amy on the show because me and her, we've been sharing on social media a little bit about getting a fifth wheel camper, right? And we talked about it on this show. I did all this, I did a lot of inner homework and thoughts about like what should we get, what would we be happy with, what would suit our family and our needs. I've had these buses for a really long time. Sort of in a position of transition, right, where I don't necessarily not a full-time driver anymore. I got I got a family that the what we've had doesn't quite fit. Maybe we can make some adjustments in some things, and I wanted to get something that I could work on. I can fix anything. I can drive it. I can take it, and we can do this together, right? And so we got to looking around, and at first I was trying to figure out how I could get my family comfortable with a truck camper. But I don't even know what the square footage on them things are, but it's like 100.
Not a lot.
Yeah, it's not much at all.
Yeah.
But
The kids are little, but that's still too small.
we looked at the vans, the conversion vans and all that stuff, and then we looked at a camper you're driving. So I mean, we
explored all the options.
Tongue pulls, bumper pulls, and
so my point of my position when he's going through his process is just to smile and nod.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. And just wait, because there's going to be another idea that pops up.
Yeah.
So until he gets like a little bit of buy-in from me, he just keeps looking. So that's how we shop together.
That's all right.
You can't say no, because then it's going to show up in the driveway. He does not like to be told no, and that makes him want to buy it more.
Want it more.
We did no with the boat, and now we have the boat. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And so, anyhow, I was trying to avoid the fifth wheel. It's a lot, right? It's they're 30 to however long you want to go feet, and the dually and all of that. I was trying to go another route, a more practical, smaller, minimal route. And man, to be honest with you, it would have been a mistake. Going with the fifth wheel is what we need. It's a good fit for our family, and there's some great affordable models out there. And we got a Cougar, which is about 36 foot, and it is it's a Keystone. That's the brand that makes this thing, and they're gonna be thrilled that we're talking about it. But I'll be honest with you, man. We had our first trip this past weekend. We took it out to Texas.
Yep.
I still have my bus driver Kenny. He is beyond.
He's essentially retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
Yeah.
His last year was going to be this year, and so I called Kenny and I said, "Hey, man, I'm going to get this fifth wheel, and I'd like you to help me with it a little bit and just walk me through the process of buttoning it up and laying it out and what are some of the things that I need to avoid and learn. I don't want to tear and break and make mistakes, right? We can skip through all that. I mean, it's not rocket science, but I've never emptied a gray tank or a black tank, and there's a process, right? And so, for example, right, y'all probably wouldn't know this, neither did I, but it makes perfect sense when you hear it. It's like, empty your black tank first. That's got all your pee and your poop in it. The gray tank. The gray tank.
No brainer.
He woke up thinking about that today. He was really concerned. He did not know that.
The gray
yet.
tank's
My parents taught me that years
The gray
ago.
tank is your
Oh, yeah.
sink water, and your shower water. So it's just soap, right, and water. And so when you empty that, it all comes out the same pipe, and so that is then washing out the materials from dumping the black, right? And so, so
Like a double flush.
yeah, so you don't want to, if you do black last, you got some of that stuff lingering around in there, right? But anyways, there's just little things like that I would have to learn on my own, and Kenny's been helpful, and Kenny did take it out to Texas. People are going to be disappointed that I didn't drive it to Texas.
Well, it's far,
Yeah.
and we had the kids in school, so I mean there was things happening,
Yeah,
and we really
but-
couldn't do that.
So he's still on the fringes of employment with us, and yeah, and so I was like, while you're we're not doing nothing this year. We were going to broadcast a race season. Well, that's not happening. So he was still going to do this year with the broadcasting that we did or have been doing, but since he's not doing that, he took it out to Texas for us. And Amy's family has this farm that's been in their family for generations, and it's got an old 120-year or older farmhouse on it that they still use.
It's about 100 years old.
Yeah, we still sit in there and eat and enjoy being together and play games and stuff like that in this old farmhouse. And I love sitting in there, man. It's so nostalgic. I sent you guys some pictures of being in there. And so outside of that is it's cow pasture, right? The farmhouse is fenced in, probably about a half acre.
Yeah, it's not big.
Right, and then the rest of the farm, man, it's just cows. They're just roaming around, and there's some buildings and outbuildings and tractor and farm equipment and so forth.
Yeah, barns.
And then her dad put in the electrical for us to be able to plug multiple fifth wheels into.
Yeah,
And
my sister and brother-in-law kept bringing theirs, and eventually they wore them down. They're like, it'd be helpful if you just helped us get here.
They were plugging
Come
in like a
here.
Conventional outlet,
Yeah.
which is kind of tough.
And everything out there's old.
Yeah.
The house wasn't wired originally,
Right.
so it's a little risky, doing that. And I think that Dad finally was like, all right, I need to fix this so that they keep coming.
Yeah, so they got power pulled off the pole and put up a little grid for us to be able to plug into, and but literally we all share the same water hose. So the water hose comes off the spigot from the house and then goes into a three-way out to these fifth wheels.
Yeah.
And so when you turn on the water in the fifth wheel, it's like a drip because you're sharing water with everybody else.
If everybody's trying at the same time.
Not a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. We had a blast. Easter with Amy's family is I can't imagine doing Easter any better, to be quite honest with you.
Before he went the first time, I tried to explain to him what this looked like, and he literally just could not wrap his head around it. We pull the Spanish moss off the trees, and we make Easter nests in the yard for the Easter bunny to come fill up with toys and presents and candy.
And there's
And
about
growing up, there was just 3 kids.
Yeah.
Now there's 11. So the yard was chocked full.
Yeah. So one kid will build a nest about half the size of this table, and then
Not that big.
well, all right. So it's about
It's big.
It's
big
big
enough.
It's close to half the size of this table, and then they put a little fringe. What's stuff on that?
So Granny gets garlands and fake flowers and things. When we were little, we used to pick the wildflowers and do that, and we do it like day right beforehand. But it's too much to do now with all the kids. So she gets a bunch of junk from like the dollar store, and it's just decorated and bright and whatever.
So you have the Spanish moss. That's your nest. So it's covering the ground in this little space, and each kid has their own nest, right? And they're dotted out through the yard, right? And so we all help them make their nest, and then they go and get in the back of a truck,
It's
and they
Dad's
go.
duty. The dads take
Dads
them on a trail ride to find the Easter bunny.
So
And while they're gone,
Yeah.
the women scramble and lay everything out and hide the eggs. So they get to the house, and we pass out their buckets as they're getting to the gate, and they run around the yard and do their Easter egg hunt, and then they get to like plop down and do their
somebody's
nest.
dressed in an Easter bunny outfit.
I was gonna say, do you find the Easter bunny most times?
Well, that just started last year. My sister Lacey, my youngest sister, dressed up as the Easter bunny, and one of the kids kind of questioned that a little bit.
Oh.
And so instead of lying to her, I just told her that was Aunt Lacey, and that's not the real Easter bunny. You never get to see the Easter bunny. She's like, well, she did give me a thumbs up. Do bunnies have thumbs? I'm like, no, that was Aunt Lacey. See, it's just a thing. So this year, a different person dressed up, and they got to see her through the mask.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
My daughter.
You can't pull one over,
No.
especially when there's that many. Somebody's gonna see.
Right.
The girls run up to the Easter bunny, and they all believe that it's the Easter bunny until they get right up on it, and they go, "It's human!
It's Aunt Dawn in there.
It's human!"
Yeah.
One of them kept saying that. It's human! It's human! It was funny.
Yeah.
But and we get to eat a little candy. We shoot off. We fire off a lot of silly string at everybody.
Oh,
we chase
that's
each
fun.
other around
They
the backyard.
Pummeled me with the silly
Yeah.
string. It was in
Silly
my drink,
string's
in my
hilarious.
hair. It was, and we have confetti eggs, so that was.
Yeah,
Nicole
we're
had a
pop
really good
smashing
time with that.
confetti
Confetti
eggs.
eggs.
Oh yeah.
What is
Never
that?
heard of that.
Really?
Yeah, no.
It's just what I think
like
it
an
is.
egg.
It
Bless
just
your
explodes.
heart. You've never played with a confetti egg?
No. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Tell us how
Have
you
heard
make
of
one, Amy.
We don't make them. You buy them. They're called chicharron, and they come in. They're a little 12-pack, like an egg carton, and they're boiled and emptied, or emptied and dyed, and they have dry confetti in them. And there's like
Wow.
tissue paper over one end, so you can just smash them on each other.
That's so
Yeah.
much fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Are you kidding me? You've
I
never
missed.
done that.
I
No.
genuinely. I thought you were making it up.
I'm gonna
No.
bring you some.
Okay.
Yeah,
We should have put an Easter nest on the table
Yeah.
next year.
we should have. I mean, we watched a lot of NCAA basketball tournament, and we watched all the races. We had a lot of great food, grilled out right there at the campers. Enjoyed just a damn fun time, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat.
What's the traditional Easter meal?
What do we eat on Easter?
Fajitas.
We don't really have a tradition, so
Okay.
everything is like cooked outside because
fajitas.
Fajitas.
everything works inside, but it's just too much for the house to have all those people in there. So Kobe, my brother-in-law Kobe, is the grill master, and we cooked fajitas last night. Burgers one night. I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah. They get four-wheelers, and they go take all the kids on
Yeah.
four-wheeler rides all day long.
All day
so, like,
long.
Isla's like, I rode the four-wheeler 4 times today, you know. And it's they shoot a little bit. They got some guns, and they'll go out there and shoot a little bit. Target practice, things like that.
The kids are constantly trying to get close to the cows as if the cows are going to let them pet them. And there was a ton of babies, so
Yeah.
they were doing that most of the day too.
Yeah. But the camper, man, I think the camper is perfect. So everything worked. You know, sometimes you'll get some campers and they got a few bugs, but this was a 2023 model that didn't sell, so it came on. It was marked down for clearance, which is nice.
It was on the clearance rack.
Yeah, it was. And
Did it feel like
Dale Jr.
clearance camp?
special.
man, I'm always looking for a deal. So I was like, well, why didn't this? You're just like when you're buying a used car, you're like, why?
What's wrong with it?
Why did they get rid of it?
Yeah.
Why is it brand new and did
Yeah.
not sell? I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Why didn't other people think it's cool?
Yeah. We didn't have any surprises.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just fine.
It's good.
Yeah.
Everything worked, and kids loved it. So Nicole, we had a breakthrough this weekend with Nicole. She's like, she doesn't like to brush her teeth.
She's got this thing about toothpaste. She doesn't eat syrup. She doesn't eat ketchup. She doesn't like anything in that consistency. So brushing her teeth is like performing an exorcism.
She doesn't want it.
Literally
She doesn't
everything.
want the.
We have to hold her down, and she screams while one
Wow.
of us brushes her teeth.
I'm the same way.
And honestly, we're just emotionally distraught afterwards, just as much as she
It's an
is.
experience.
Awful. Ending your
PTSD.
day like that every day.
I've unlocked the key to getting it done.
We had two components that changed
Yeah.
it. I forgot to pack toothpaste and toothbrushes. I was mom fail. But my sister and brother-in-law had extras, and so we used their orange creamsicle flavored toothpaste for kids, which she liked. And then Dale started singing
99 bottles
99
of beer
bottles of beer on the wall to her. And instead of starting at 99, they just start at 1 and they go up to 3. And by then, she's just about done brushing her teeth. But she's totally into that. And now she just sings it. So she's going to go to school singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall after Easter break.
She's putting the bottles of beer on the wall. She
Yeah.
starts at
Yeah,
1,
yeah.
2,
We're
3.
stacking them up. We're not taking them down.
Recycling. That's what she's doing. She's helping.
You could have given me 100 guesses as to what song it was.
And that
I
would
would
never
not
been
have been able to guess
Yeah.
it was that.
I was shocked, too, because he did that the first time, and I was outside.
How did that come about? You're like, I got an idea. I've got the perfect
Well,
song for
It
this.
just
I had
comes
drank
naturally.
about 99 beers that day. I don't know. It's a good. Sound like a good idea. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And
But-
she just kind of shut up and just looked right up at him like,
Yeah. She's like, "What are we doing? This is a
Yeah,
game. I
yeah.
like this. This is fun."
Yeah, so we got a killer combo now.
Yeah.
So far, it's working.
3 nights in a row, we've had no fuss.
Wow.
3 out of 1,000, and we'll take it.
Yes.
What was the toothpaste before that she
We've
hated?
gone through a few. They're all kid toothpastes, and she doesn't care about spicy stuff. So like the peppermint doesn't bother her. It's the thickness. So if it's like
Oh.
this one's not quite as pasty, it's a little thinner. So she likes it.
Yep.
Wow.
So
All the things you just don't know what's gonna happen when your
Yeah.
kid pops out. You're like, what's this one's thing gonna be?
yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toothpaste.
Orange toothpaste and 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put an air tag in the camper so I could watch it come home.
Okay.
I took an air tag out there with me. I should have put it in the camper when it left the house, but I forgot. You ever use one of those for like your luggage and stuff? It's pretty neat.
I've my parents all have one, but I'll always get the notifications that I'm traveling with an air tag, even though it's not mine. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, there's an air tag.
Is it in their car?
There's an air tag near you.
Yeah. It's like on someone's keys that I don't normally
Oh.
travel with, or like someone's wallet has it, and I'll drive all through town, and they'll be like, "Yep, this air tag has been with you, X distance."
So it'll connect you to anybody's AirTag?
It doesn't.
It'll just let you know that you've been traveling with one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh.
So
that's
that you're like
creepy.
being tracked. So
Yeah.
I bet it's a safety thing.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
like people can't be
Ah.
tracked. You know.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
But to answer your
Interesting.
question,
No, I've never used one.
No, I've never
Yeah.
used one.
Yeah.
I hear people
Fine.
put them on their dog leashes
I was
or their
about to say
collars.
that.
That's a
Yep.
good idea.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Just start doing it to random stuff. Just
I'm-
like
He
That's
put 6 in my stocking this year for Christmas. I'm like,
Six?
what the heck?
Six?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm like, that's why we have the pile
We've
of
got a
them.
lot
I'm like,
to-
what am I going to do with these?
is that on clearance?
We've got to come up with some
They
ideas.
must have been
Yeah.
on clearance.
Well, that's what we need, like a Dirty Mo
Amazon
Media,
Prime Day deal.
Dirty Mo Media post on Twitter. What should we put our air
Our
tags
air
There
tag
you
on.
go.
Yeah.
That would be fun to know what people use them for. Besides like expensive things or a gun or something that they're really,
Mm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think I thought it was like just for like you could put it in your kid's car, you could put it on your luggage, things like that.
They have bracelets you can put them on your child
Mm-hmm.
also, like
Yeah.
if you're in a crowded area. But
Mhm.
I've never used them for that.
No, maybe we should.
We got to take our kids to like a carnival or something.
We got to
Just
first.
to
First,
put
we
an
need to
air
take
tag
our
on.
See if I can
kids
find-
places. That would motivate us to
Yeah.
take them
Yeah.
places.
It's like
Let's
a
go
really,
see if the air tags work. Let's lose them.
really
See if we can
stressful
find them again.
scavenger hunt. Yeah.
All right. We leaving out anything on Easter break? Did you like the camper?
I love the camper.
Yeah.
It did everything I thought it was going to be, or
All
everything I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And it was actually real easy to get around in and use.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was without anything.
Yeah.
Where's round 2?
Oh, one of the things that I've learned
round
about
2.
campers.
Where's round 2, Dale?
I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
To do something.
Okay.
Round 2
Wow.
might be
Sounds fun.
Dale related,
Yeah.
Okay.
not Amy related.
It'll be very soon.
But we're going to tag along.
Yeah. I think I'm anxious to drive at places. I would love for us to meet Kobe, your sister and brother-in-law. I'd love for us to like meet them halfway somewhere, like the Western Tennessee or like kind of they're
That'd be
coming
fun.
from Texas, right?
Yeah.
So like if we could find like some middle ground of some sort of
Maybe we could meet like at the beach in Alabama or
a
like
national park
the
or
Florida
the beach in
Panhandle-
Alabama.
the
Yes,
Florida Panhandle.
that's
or
a great
something like
idea. And both, that'd be so much fun. The only problem is like our girls. That would be about a 10-hour drive. So we'd have to break that up at a couple stops. So we'd need a week.
A week.
Well, I mean,
a
to
week.
get there?
I thought you meant like a week to get
Yeah.
there. Sorry,
No,
I'm thinking about the travel
driving
still.
out.
We
Yeah, we
need
need a week for a
30-minute
vacation.
increments.
we'd need at least we'd need at the least an overnight to get there
Yeah. Oh,
and an overnight home.
you think?
Yeah, because if you're gonna bust a 10-hour trip up with the kids, right?
I don't know. I feel like at first time I probably just try to see how far I could get with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what. So when we traveled as kids,
They
my
would
dad
be
worked shift work,
miserable.
so he literally knew how to stay up all night. He was good at that. I feel like you're probably about the same.
Oh, so you
used
think
to
we're
be
driving
nocturnal.
at night and they're sleeping?
So what he did is he'd put us in the car at like 5 p.m., feed us, and then we'd fall asleep and we'd get there in the morning. And then he didn't have to hear us complain about how far.
So if I do that, do I get to sleep the next day?
Yeah, if you're going to drive.
Yeah.
But I'd probably stay up just out of concern of you falling asleep. I don't know. That would be.
And then we're both going to be tired and cranky.
But we have the camper and they can just play and we can
Yeah.
sleep a little bit. It should be
Okay.
easy.
All right.
You can let them run around, throw some air tags on
Throw
them.
some
find
air
'em at
tag-
the end of the day.
There you go. We'll find them later.
It's
How'd they get there?
easy.
They're tagged.
That's hilarious. All right, let's move on. We got a few more things to talk about before we get to Ask Junior. Joe Logano, 550 starts.
Congratulations.
Hell of
Man.
a freaking
That is amazing.
hell of a milestone.
I saw that and audibly cheered
Yeah.
when I saw it on Twitter.
I was proud of NASCAR for putting out that tweet.
Fantastic.
Man.
Way to go.
You know who didn't get a tweet?
Who?
Chris Buescher for 300 stars.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Nope.
Yeah.
I thought he did.
He got a little graphic on the race.
Did he
itself.
not get a?
Cruise
Did his organization, RFK, give him one? I
Uh,
thought I saw it somewhere.
As the social media guy, I will tell you. Hold on.
I'm sure NASCAR did one.
I can't believe they didn't do one for Eric Jones on his 262nd start, though.
No.
That's tough.
That's not good.
Did you?
Is 262nd a good number?
So we're giving. So they put out a tweet last week that Christopher Bell, congratulations on his 150th start, which is literally like 4 years of
Oh.
racing.
Okay.
And I thought that ain't worth a damn tweet. 150 starts, okay, you just pass that one and keep going. You don't damn acknowledge. And so,
Oh, they did do a Buescher.
I knew
Sorry.
Found it before.
I'm sorry.
So 300, it's still a little early, but hey. Richard Petty is leading with like 1,180 something starts, right?
Okay.
I have something like 600 something. So I mean, we were talking like, when do you get a tweet? When should you get celebrated? When should your starts get celebrated? And we all have a little bit of a different opinion about it. We're kind of all in the 400 to 500 range. But then there are people out there that are like, 150 should be acknowledged.
I think it's just neat to know how long it takes to get to that number.
Yeah.
And like for a fan, your driver, they're getting to a landmark number where you get to talk about it is just fun.
Yeah.
But as a words of affirmation guy, as you are,
Yeah.
I feel like you would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just being acknowledged in the moment. It's not like they're throwing them a parade. They're just saying, hey,
Yeah.
how many starts? This
You're
is
right.
pretty nice.
Yeah, you're right. There you go.
All right.
that
It's
answered
not
it?
like they're
That's the
throwing him a
rule.
Calm down.
parade.
They're not throwing him a parade.
Maybe
All
we
right.
should.
Yeah.
Joey might deserve a parade. That's a
Have him
lot of
drive the
starts.
pace car.
550 is awesome. Congratulations, Joey, and I'm sure he's got another 500 in him maybe if he wants to keep going. How young's the guy? How old is he? 33
He's in his
or
30s.
something?
Yeah.
He could do it. We're going to move on to the Xfinity race. Joey Gase throws his bumper at Dawson Cram. Joey Gase should get in trouble, don't you think?
I assume he probably would get a penalty
Yeah, I
levied
think
down.
so.
A driver on the racetrack running toward oncoming traffic. Never a good thing.
Throwing something.
Throwing something is
Especially of that
bad.
size.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like, you can't, when you're out of the car, when you get out of the car, you might peak at damage, things like that. But you immediately get ushered away by safety crew, medical, whatever, right? You don't do anything else. So I think he's got some penalties coming.
Surely he feels a little bit of embarrassment and shame about doing that, right?
I don't know. Bubba Pollard finishes 6th. They did a great job on their he did a good job behind the wheel in his first Xfinity start. And Overstreet, his crew chief, who I work with when I drive the car, decided to come down pit road and take tires with a few other cars, and they all made that work. Smart move.
From what I've heard, everyone kind of talking in the building the last couple of days, like he was very calm and controlled over the radio all weekend. There were a bunch of people suggesting different ideas. Like, nope, this is the plan. Like, we've got it under control, and I mean, it worked out.
Well, we'll get to talk about it because he's going to be on the show tomorrow as our guest. So I'm looking forward to that. Bubba Pollard coming in to talk with us about his race weekend, but also we're going to learn a lot about his career.
First question coming from Jordan. It is the 24 years ago today to your first Cup Series win.
Wow.
What do you, I guess, just what comes to mind when you hear that? What do you remember about the day?
Well, I remember a lot of tiny things, but I busted my ass one time on the outside of Ricky Rudd. I think I was putting him a lap down in turn 2. I don't know why that stands out to me. But I was leading the race by half a straightaway or something and about wrecked. We had a really, really soft left front spring in that car and a really big sway bar. And so it was all to pin the left front and do some work aero-wise. And so when the race started, or when we're getting ready to start the race, I was talking to Tony Jr., and I was like, dang, man, I'm a little nervous about that left front spring. That's just not a lot of spring. I can't imagine that's going to work. And he's like, he's all confident because they had scienced it out and were ready and confident. And, man, the setup of the car was the difference maker. And sort of going in that left front soft, big sway bar setup that would dominate the series over the next several years. We were one of the first teams or early teams to start picking up on that. This is one thing that I don't think gets talked about enough. I've brought it up a few times. So we had a pit stop, I don't know when, with several laps to go, and we come down pit road, that's our final stop, right? But it was we had enough laps left in the race that if a yellow came out later, we would all probably come back down and get tires. Luckily, the yellow didn't come out. But we're running along, and I'm racing like hell, and cross the finish line, win the race. Come, get off the gas, go through turn 1 and 2, coming down the back straightaway, slowing down, get ready to come to pit road, right? And just out of my mind, thrilled, happy, can't believe this is happening. Come on to pit road, and I go to mash the clutch pedal, and it ain't there. The clutch pedal broke and was in the floor. And so, sometime during the last, 60 or 80 laps, it worked. It was there when I came down pit road for the last stop. But sometime between that and the end of the race, it fell into the floorboard and was not going to work. And so I went to mash it in my foot. There was nothing there, and I was like, holy shit. I looked down there, and the pedal was gone. And I was like, man, I am glad that I didn't have to use the clutch, right, to come down pit road, get in my pit stall or anything like that, or accelerate out of my pit stall. We'd have lost the lead. We'd have not gotten off pit road good, and so we'd have probably not won that race without a doubt.
Do you have any idea when it happened?
No.
Yeah.
Not the last time you used it. It probably broke off.
The last time I used it was coming off pit road for the last pit stop.
Okay.
And so I guess the vibration, something it didn't like about, I don't know how it fell out or how it broke, but it was completely foobar. And so, yeah. And so that, I always think about that. And, yeah, I mean, just always fun to see. Always fun to see. This is what I love about social media, man. You're gonna, like, I'll see that post today. Mm-hmm. Somebody will post it, a fan or NASCAR handle or somebody, and I love that. I always love going back and watching races and remembering moments and reminding myself about what I was involved in and things I was a part of, and so it's kind of be a fun day today.
Is that when your dad stuck his head in the window and was like, "Enjoy this"? Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool moment, and some of the best advice you could give somebody. It really is, because when something great happens to you, it's hard for you to absorb what's going on, right? And as race car drivers or anybody, you're already looking toward the next thing, right? And in a very, you might celebrate in that moment in Victory Lane, but once you're starting to button up and wrap up and get ready to go home, you're thinking about tomorrow or the next race weekend and all those things. And Dad's like, hey, no need to do that. Enjoy this. Like, let it sink in. And so
that's cool.
Yeah, it was. It's just good advice, because you could screw up and not really enjoy the moment and move on too quickly, right? And so there's no shame in taking a beat and letting yourself have some fun. And you're not gonna, some drivers and some people that are that laser focused or that committed to success are already, moving on to the next opportunity or the next race to win.
This next question, and I'd be interested to hear both of your answers on this, is coming from Suzanne. Least favorite household chore?
Oh, laundry. For me.
Really?
It's always been laundry. I don't mind doing the laundry, but putting it away.
Yep.
And I think you could tell that by the side, by my side of the closet.
Oh, yeah.
It's a mess. And it's clean. It's just flinging over there.
Yeah,
right.
Stacked.
Yeah.
So, like, you ever go to those places, like, people travel to, or like when we went to, went down this long trail on our trip to Hawaii when we were on our honeymoon, and we go out to this beach. It took like it was like a 2-mile walk to get there, and they stack stones. People stack stones. That's Amy's closet.
I keep hoping his OCD-ness will someday get in there and help me put it away.
Me? I don't know where this stuff goes.
Yeah, you do.
Dang, which one do I not like? I hate doing the dishes, but I don't. It's probably not the one I hate the most. Probably feeding the dogs. I don't know. I mean,
what is your list? You got like 4 things.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot.
I feel like feeding the dogs would be easy, wouldn't it?
Feeding the dogs is easy. It's just a new task that he's tasked now with remembering. So that's probably why he doesn't like it.
No.
The dishes is always, it's not fun, but I can't stand having dirty dishes in the sink or like having food sitting out. So like the closet thing doesn't bother me because it's clean stuff and it's not going to create a bug problem. Whereas the dishes will. So like I get real annoyed with Dale because I'll have a pan soaking. I've just cooked dinner and he'll just go put his clean plate or his plate he's just used in that soapy, nasty water. And so now I have to fish it out. And that's really annoying.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
That's not what you ask, is it?
My least favorite chore is emptying the black tank out and then the gray tank out.
Touche.
That'll make sense.
That will be a pain. I'll say this: that will be one thing I don't look forward to is getting the camper back and having to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right after we've used it, you gotta clean the floor, you gotta wash the outside of it and all that. And
Yeah.
so that whole process is probably
Not going to be enjoyable.
not gonna be as much fun.
This will make sense to all the YouTube people in a bit. Listen to the full show. We got time. Amy, are you still good on time?
Sure.
We got time for one more question. Any new records for the record player? I know you play. Do you use it very often?
My friends at the Danger Summer are coming out with a new record called Gravity. I think that's the name of the album. But I'm a huge fan of those guys, and so they got a new record coming out, so I'll probably buy that. But I'm good. I mean, I have, unless new stuff comes out like that, right, that I want to buy. Red Clay Strays, they just, I think, signed a new record deal, so they'll be probably pumping out some records here over the next couple of years. But so like new stuff of bands that I enjoy. But I'm good on, I think I'm pretty good on all the things historically that I wanted.
When he wants to get a collection of something, he doesn't just like kind of hem-haw and linger about it. He goes hard and he buys all the things he likes. He makes a list and he's got it cataloged. And so he's got it all in a tub, the things we're going to take to the beach. And at home, like the record filing system is full.
Yeah.
So
And it's all lettered. You got the dividers and all that.
it
so
looks
you
like
need that.
one of the old record stores in the mall,
it looks
Oh,
like
which I
so
know
it's
you
like-
guys have not seen before in your life, but
yeah.
you used to go through and flip. And
I've been to a record store.
Oh, you
yeah.
have?
Yeah.
We had one at school.
It's
And
organized.
At school?
No, in college.
Oh.
There was one. Yeah. No, we weren't that cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
All right, so one of the things I thought we could do today is a bit of an audit of the NASCAR season for some of these teams. Just between Andrew and Dalton, Alex Tim back there in the back. If you want to chime in, it's up to you, buddy. But surprises, disappointments, kind of what stands out. I will go. Let's go with surprises. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's start first with surprises. Right out of the gate, I think.
I got one if you're still looking.
Yeah. Surprised by a good.
Right.
run,
Good surprise.
Yeah, good surprise. So, I think my biggest surprise this year is probably how much better the 51 of Justin Haley and the 15 of Kaz Gralla are running. Rick Ware Racing. I think, I talk about our short attention span and us forgetting things easily. I think we forget how terrible this team has been for so long. If they're running last in every race, if BJ McLeod wasn't there last year, no disrespect to BJ, but they were gonna be probably at most times the slowest car, and then Rick Ware was like right in front of them, and then there's the rest of the field, right? I feel like that when Justin Haley sat here at this table and was all excited about going to run there, I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't know. How could you be excited to go there? They don't run good. They've had moments where they have like a good qualifying effort, but for the most part, they always kind of faded to the rear of the pack and struggled to sort of battle around those final few positions, never really having a good day of, they never really were one of those teams that would pop off a 20th, right? But he was excited to leave Colleague and go there. I thought, what the hell does he know that we don't know? Well, I think that they are showing. I think they're running really well, and I'd say that's probably one of my big surprises. I hoped it was going to happen for Justin because I thought he was very likable. Did a great job at our interview here at the show, and I when he left the room, I was hoping that this was going to work out for him, but I did not have a lot of confidence.
How much better? I mean this in no disrespect, but they're 32nd and 33rd in the standings out of 35.
Yeah, I know.
Is that
well, they're they're ahead of Harrison Burton, They're right on
And
Ryan,
Zane Smith, like, that's it.
They're right on Ryan Preece's heels. Listen, if you look at the piece of paper and the numbers and statistics, it looks the same in terms of performance. But if you watch the race, right, and you're watching where the car runs, I see them. I would love to know their average running position compared to last year, because I believe that might be a good stat to say, okay, that shows me they're running better consistently week in and week out.
They're not necessarily showing up on the point standings, but they're passing the eye test. You see the cars more often when on 51's up there running in the top 10 at Bristol and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, and I did some research on this. Justin Haley, first 7 races this year, average finish 26.42, compared to Cody Ware, first 7 races of the year, 27.7. So he's running a position better. First 7 races of the year. I know that's not necessarily what you're saying is the determining factor. It's the eye test, but still, I don't know. That's where I just don't necessarily see eye to eye in terms of them being this great big success compared to last year.
Well, you have a great point. When I look through the list of trying to find something that's a bigger surprise, I don't really see it. Look, Carson Hocevar, 24th in points. I think he's done a great job. Am I surprised by that? It's probably higher than I would have thought. Todd Gilliland's sort of stepped it up this year. He's had some moments where you're starting to see that team run better and comparable to Michael McDowell's teammate. There's things like that, but I just think that Rick Ware Racing they were, in my opinion, I hate to say this, but to make my point, I think I have to. They were mailing it in, man. They were just there for the charter. It wasn't about race day results. They ran that as a business to make money. And it didn't matter as much. I mean, their finishing result was definitely not the priority it might be for other teams. And it seems there's been a shift in their approach and how they want to manage, their expectations. They seem to be putting more of an emphasis on performance. And I think that I see that in the race as I watch it. Are they a whole lot faster or a whole lot, they're certainly not getting the results. To your point, Andrew, their results don't show that. But there was always a year, there was never a time in NASCAR when you didn't have a really team or 2 or 3 or 4 that were just always going to be battling for that last position and not doing much to change, right? That whether they were financially strapped or what, they didn't have the means to improve. You always had the independents. You always had the people that were doing so much more with way, way, way less. This is probably the first time I can remember ever in the history of NASCAR where there is not a forgettable, unremarkable team in the series.
I think that's fair to say.
I know that there's listen, I know that there's people are going to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's races where I forget this driver's even out there. I get that. Now, there might be unforgettable, unremarkable personalities. I'm just saying organizations, nobody's mailing it in. Nobody's there for the check. Nobody's there for the charter and the long-term, benefit of that. Results seem to matter to pretty much everybody who's unloading a race car for the first time in the history of the sport. I don't know. And so that's why I think that I got to celebrate Rick Ware Racing, because they've sort of been the final team to sort of make that step. They've put, they're out there making that effort at the risk of, the financial hardships that could come from that, right? You wreck a lot of cars. When you race hard, you tear up more stuff. Things get expensive, and then you go from a guaranteed profit to potential of a loss. You really start to, listen, with the way we run our race team is we could lose money, we could win money, we could lose a couple $100,000, we could make a couple $100,000. We're running to break even. We've built it to break even because we want to perform as good as we possibly can. So we got this much money, and we're going to spend it all to run as good as we can run, and we're going to try to spend it smartly so that we're as fast as we can be, right? Well, some teams have X amount of dollars, but they're only going to spend this much because they need to make sure that they are profitable, and they expect a profit, and they want that profit. Rick Ware seems to be willing to get a little closer to that break even.
That's fair.
So I think you can celebrate that. I went a little long on that one, but any surprises for you guys?
For me, it was, and it's someone who, you said you look at this sheet and it's like, all right, well, the front runners are running up front. Like, it's kind of what you expect. This is a guy who I think went from good to great this year. In his sophomore year, Ty Gibbs, 4th in the standings, I think stands out to me. He was 2nd in the standings, I think, last week. Yep. Like, he's consistently this year versus last year, I don't think. He's a player, I feel like, in more and more races, at least to start this season.
Yeah, I like that one. I expected this out of Ty Gibbs at some point in his career, and it's good to see it happening. He seems to be more and more mature as the days go by, and considering everything that he went through with losing his dad and the tragedy of winning that championship and then the loss, all of that, I just worried about him personally, how he could move forward, right? And what mental fortitude and stability he would have going forward. And it looks like he has been handling that amazingly, right? When you hear him on the radio and you hear him talk, he's improving and maturing and believing. And people talk, man, that this guy's talent is pretty limitless. So I think that the way that he's putting pressure on his teammates is good, right? He's pushing that whole organization to be better. So now he's becoming more and more of an asset to the other teammates, the other team cars. So this is all great things for JGR. I think we all feel like that win's right around the corner.
Yeah,
right?
I would say
maybe
so.
1 or 2 this year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's coming for sure for him.
Yeah.
My surprise is John Hunter Nemechek, because he is right outside the playoff door, and that team last year was
not good.
Not good.
You're right. He is doing pretty good. I ought to give him a little credit. 17th in points. Teammate Eric Jones, 22nd in points. They're only about 30 points or 20-something points between them. This team looked awful last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. To their credit, man, you're changing manufacturers. You're losing all these assets, right? When you decide you're going to leave Chevrolet, they stop. They turn the faucet off. You're not getting resources and things anymore and the support. And now, and becoming the new guy in the room with all of the other established Toyota teams, right? All of these teams are vying for those resources, and it's all money and time, and the manufacturer's only going to give you so much, and each team's going to be in this sort of pecking order, right? So they're sort of the low guy on this totem pole, and they're doing a lot with that, right? And that's what you have to do for, like, Brad Keselowski and his team, right? They were kind of below Penske, and they've sort of elevated themselves with better and better runs. Now they're sort of vying for Ford's attention, Ford's resources, Ford's time, Ford's money. And so that will be the one thing that will allow them to catapult them toward the top of the standings, is that manufacturer support. And so Toyota, John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, that whole organization, they're fighting for that same attention from Toyota. And if they continue to outperform some of the other Toyota teams, that's how they'll get progress in that organization, and they'll continue to move up these rankings. But John Hunter John Hunter has good talent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's some things that I don't know. There's some things about his driving and his racecraft that are a little raw, and if he can clean those up, sky's the limit. Or no, not the sky. What's the limit? There is no limit.
No, the sky's. I mean,
Sky's
that's
the
pretty
limit.
limitless.
That's a good-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sky is the ceiling.
Yeah,
Sky's the
the
ceiling.
ceiling's the roof. Yeah.
Oh man. I'm trying to be nice. The guy. See, sometimes some of the things he does on the racetrack, they kind of get under my skin a little bit. But because they're things that hurt him too, right? It's like the thing on pit road at Daytona with Josh. He spins Josh into his box. It's like, just give that up, right? Get in behind Josh and let Josh in, and you go on. But it cost him and Josh the draft.
Yeah.
There's just little things like that where he's like hard-headed in these little moments where he doesn't need to be. He's like bullheaded, like stubborn. There's this little sort of part of his personality, right?
Yeah.
And those kind of come out with us in the truck series during, when he gets into the deep playoff runs. There's these little things that kind of come to the surface, and I think he's got to work on that. He's got a chip on his shoulder, right? He's been trying to make it all his life. He's finally made it. He's still got a freaking chip on his shoulder, and he's like, got to prove to the world.
I would say this is definitely his best opportunity he's been handed thus far.
Yep.
I don't know if this necessarily surprises me, but it's a standout. What do you think of Daniel Hemrick in that 31 colleague car, 29th in the standings?
All right. Is it positive?
I mean,
are we going to the disappointments?
Maybe we're going to the
Is that what we're doing?
disappointments. Yeah.
All right. So, I think, let me look at the list again to make sure. Let's go to our biggest disappointments. I would have to say that, I think I think I have to wonder, like, what is Colic, right? So what is the plan? What's the plan going forward? Fans do a lot of spinning of the rumor mill in terms of, oh man, there's these rumors about charters, right? And you always hear colleagues' names sort of dropped in that rumor mill about charters for sale and whatnot. And it seems like that colleague came in with Chris Rice and all of those guys, and they were chasing trophies. I mean, even as recent as last year, man, they were moving Allmendinger around just to go run tracing trophies at the Xfinity series, right? Missing practices and so forth, and making decisions like strictly based on trying to win this race today. And then in the off season, has something changed in this organization? Has something changed in their? Have they gotten more conservative in their approach? Did they mash the reset button? And yeah, I don't know what I'm really curious as to where this team is in 5 years.
You kind of said it, like, what direction are they taking? I thought AJ, like, he won the Roval last year. Mm-hmm. He's a proven winner in the Cup Series, and I don't know how he necessarily felt about going back to the Xfinity Series, but I don't know if that was his first choice, at least kind of the vibes I was getting in the media center when he won that race in October. I don't know. I just feel like if you wanted a playoff contending opportunity, and like even Chris Rice said it, like AJ Allmendinger belongs in a Cup car. Like, can we win every week? No, absolutely not. But can we contend? Yes. And that was with AJ in the car. It's like, well, there's so many road courses now. I feel like with AJ in a Cup car, they could win. I don't know. I just don't see their decision making, and just don't quite fully understand why they put certain drivers where.
Yeah, me too. So, I think, I would love to know what AJ wants.
Yeah.
Right? Does AJ want to run the Cup car every week? I wouldn't at his age. And where that team is, yes, you can go to the road courses and have a chance. But man, the rest of the season, you're going to be more frustrated than not, right? And do you necessarily have to put yourself through that? Going back to the Xfinity series where their cars are competitive and there are road course races to win, he had a lot of fun. Looked like he really enjoyed himself when he was racing full time in the Xfinity series for Collie, right? Was that more interesting for him where he is in his own personal life? I don't know. I'd love to hear from him. Because, yes, AJ was the one thing that sort of was helping that Cup team get traction, right? And now, I know that he still comes back and he'll have a spotlight run here and there in that second car, but he's not in it every week, right? And so that if you a part-time team in the Cup Series is going to struggle, no matter who foots the bill, right? A part-time Hendrick car is not going to run as good as the other four. No matter who's driving it and what emphasis they put behind it. You got to be out there every week, always learning, staying on the leading edge of technology and knowledge and all those things. And so that's got to suck for Hamrick to not have a teammate like AJ, right? To be sort of leaning on and helping him push forward and make some progress. This is going to be a long year for Daniel Hamrick, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Anybody else got any other sort of disappointments?
I mean, I feel like you could make a case for like each kind of grouping.
Yeah.
Like, in the top 10, I don't know. I'd like to see Ross a little bit more in the hunt to win some of these races.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just think that he's around, and he's doing a good job, obviously, getting points, but I don't know. You got
Cindric
and Joey Logano at 19th and 20th. That's kind of a little bit shocking for Joey.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit shocking.
All right. I think Joey Logano, his season and how it's went and where he is in points, 19th, measures up even with my disappointment, I guess, for like a colleague or my confusion around like what is going on, right? I think Joey's even like, you can see it in his eyes, like when they cut to him like mid practice or anytime, he seems to be like scouring the earth for answers on like what in the heck's happening.
Yeah. I wonder if this is a lot of like a run's going to come later like he did when he won his championship, right? Like it was like, lackluster season. All of a sudden he takes off and
wins. I want to say I'm actually not too worried about Logano.
Not worried.
At this point.
Yeah.
But, when you have Blaney at 5th, who's running same equipment.
Sure.
And then you got Joey at 19th. And Chase Briscoe's above him. John Hunter Nemechek's above him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a better driver than...
How long a runway does Austin Cindric have?
Before he gets, put on the hot seat?
When is he on the hot seat? Yeah.
Soon.
I would
think?
say pretty soon, yeah.
Someone might say he's on the hot seat soon. Others might look at, Joey Logano or even, William Byron and say, well, those guys took took time to sort of find their way.
Yeah. Ty Gibbs, though. He didn't take time.
No, he didn't.
No. Blistering.
All right.
My last one is because I'm such a fan of his, Zane. I'd love to see him get off that bottom spot.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough.
Listen, I know that I guess Trackhouse has got some involvement in that car. how much, I don't know if we'll ever know. But I think Zane is a very talented race car driver with a bright future. And whatever's going on with that deal, they need to get it right. I think he should be neck and neck with Carson Hocevar, or
That's where I'd like
right
to see
there
him.
with him, right? I just see even the eye test, right? Watching the race, right? I'd love to see Zane somewhere near the performance that we see from Hocevar every week. That's what I think he's capable of, and if that car is getting support and help, like I think it is, I think it should run there. Who's your dark horses for this weekend? I know one. I don't know if he's a dark horse anymore after this past weekend. Going to Martinsville. Who runs good there?
Martin Truex Jr.
Dark horse.
I know. Dark horse.
Who runs good at Martinsville?
Blaney. Logano.
Dark horse.
Dark horse, Chase Briscoe.
Nobody's going to pick Josh Berry.
Josh Berry's a good one too, yeah.
Telling you.
Josh Berry. That's a good one.
I think if you're, I think Alex, if you're gonna, can you I'm an idiot. So can you play? You can place bets for X driver to finish top 3, top 5, right?
Top 3, top 5, top 10. Yep.
I think Josh Berry should be in some of those bets for that.
He is on the last couple of weeks. He's been on Dirty Modo's radar for a top 10 because he gets pretty good odds at plus money.
Right.
So he's on my radar every week.
Well, Martinsville is kind of his home track. It's where he won the 300 in the late model stock race there. He won his first Xfinity race there. I don't know what it is about this phenomenon, but wherever you win your first race, truck, Xfinity, Cup, you tend to have steady, above average success at that track above any other. Like Texas, right? I go win my first Xfinity race there, go back, win my first Cup race there. And every time I went to Texas, whether we did or not, I always had a better disposition, a more positive attitude, and more times than not, we'd have a great result. I think really the only top 5 I had in my last year in 2017 was at Texas. And so I think Martinsville's that track for Josh,
Yeah.
And if you can get him now, say he goes on he progresses and gets better and better, his odds are going to
keep going up.
Go up, right? And so I think now's the time to attack on Josh Berry at Martinsville.
Your best finish in 2017 was Texas.
Yeah.
5th.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's kind of the dark horse for me this weekend. He ran. So the thing for him has been he had to go out early in qualifying. I can't remember where he was in points going into Richmond, but if Josh can you don't want to be like the first five or so cars to go out in qualifying, but I don't know. I think that's kind of what hurt him this past weekend because they had a really good car in practice, goes out early in qualifying, has a bad qualifying lap, and then drives through the field to kind of like Bubba Pollard, right? Mm-hmm. Bubba Pollard goes out first and second off the pace, man. I was like, what's going on? But it's just that bad going out first in practice, in qualifying. It's just that bad. And so my point being, if Josh can qualify this car in the top 20, he should have a really, really good shot at a top 10, top 5, even a top 3.
Well, hey, since we're kind of talking about previewing the upcoming weekend at Martinsville, I mean, Dirty Modo, that's kind of what they do. Should we bring in – I know we kind of heard from you, Tims, but maybe we haven't heard what the bets are.
So how successful were you last weekend?
It was hit or miss. I kind of had a different strategy. I picked a lot of race winners and was trying to use the cash-out option that FanDuel offers to try to get – multiple winners in one, and it worked. I got Logano, made some profit off him, and then I bet Hamlin using that profit, and he ended up winning. So
all right, so that's something I'm curious about. So you before the race begins, bet Logano or who
I bet a couple guys, Truex, Larson, Logano amongst others, Blaney, but he didn't.
to win.
To win, yes.
So you got multiple bets, single bets to win.
Yes.
And you cashed out on one.
Yes, I cashed out. Logano was running second, third all race. Never
And
really had
that-
the speed.
What was the bet? The initial bet?
the initial bet, like amount?
Yep.
$10 to
All
win.
right. So what was the cash out?
I made $14, so it was about $24.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So-
then you take that 24
and I put it on Denny Hamlin.
and put
to
it on
win.
Denny to win.
Yep.
What are the odds at that point of the race?
It was right after that final pit stop where he was a little later, and his odds when I got it were, I think, plus 350.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty
It was
good.
a little good payout. Yeah, that's how
Damn.
you make some profit. So
Yes.
2 winners.
So that's something that I never even heard about, and I don't know how long ago that started as live betting.
It's a newer feature.
It
yeah,
is, yeah.
for NASCAR at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd never used it before either, so I tried it and was like, oh, this is nice. So it was a nice little learning
Yeah.
curve.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the bets this week?
This week, I do like Blaney, do like Logano. They're really good here. We mentioned Josh Berry and Briscoe. Those are guys I want to target more in head-to-heads and top tens. Right now there's the only lines out are race wins, and Berry's actually 25-1, which is the highest or the best he's been all year. So they have responded to his good run at Richmond, which stinks, but it's still good value. But one guy they have kind of left off the table is Alex Bowman, and he's right now 30-1 to win, and he didn't finish well last week, but he's had some
Sneaky
good
good
runs.
at Martinsville.
Sneaky good. He's a guy I'm going to watch too as the week goes on and the odds come out for top 10s and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. Well, I think that I think that'd be a good bet for a top 10 because he had this blazing good start last year. Then he got hurt, broke his back, and when he came back, he just couldn't get it going. Reset. Seems like the performance, at least I don't know about the results, but the performance is he's in 11th in points, 3 top 10s or 3 top 5 finishes out of 7 starts. I mean, that's kind of that's really as much as anyone else. So I mean the performance seems to be improved on Alex. So I think that'd be a good. I'd be too nervous to take him more than a top 10.
yeah, he's a safer bet for a top 10.
Yeah.
Even if he qualifies well.
Yeah, well, be interesting to see how all this pays out. Did you March Madness is starting to wrap up. We're coming down to the Final Four. How are things going there?
We didn't do well last weekend. All my bets did not cash.
No.
No, Clemson is in fact a basketball school now.
Yeah.
But Alabama beat them, so that's good. I still got my UConn guys in though, and that's my heavy favorite to win right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll see how that works out. I watched the Iowa LSU game last night. That was pretty good.
that was good.
Yeah. Anyways, man, appreciate everything you do for us at Dirty Mo Doe. Alex, or Tampa Tim's as he's known. Dirty Mo Doe drops every Thursday on all Dirty Mo media platforms. You don't want to miss it. They preview all kinds of sports, but also the races. Steve Letarte giving his expert analysis on some of the bets. Do you guys keep a running tab on like who's having more success?
I keep a tab of mine. I'm not sure about the other
in terms
guys, but
of like, not obviously it's really just in terms of like your claims, right? Like Steve feels the way, you feel the way, right? Who's been right more often than not?
I would say, I wouldn't say me, but me and Steve actually agree more often than not, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad for Steve, but
so the professor, Russell, comes with factual stats, right?
Yeah.
How often do the stats and the facts back up reality?
Recently, very well.
Yeah.
He's got, I think last week Code of the week before, he had like 6 or 7 of the top 10 correct.
Really?
Yeah, so he was on it. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then you need to pay attention. Watch a Dirty Mo Doe. They're going to give you all the information. If I was going to be gambling any money, that's the guys I'd be listening to. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This week's segment was brought to you by Tire Pros. There are a few people who love cars as much as I do. These tire and service experts equally love the drive. They offer a huge selection of brand-name tires and full-service repairs, from oil changes to alignments to brakes. Tire Pros is giving your vehicle the TLC it deserves. Tire Pros is unique because each location is owned by men and women in our community, but with the added support and resources of over 600 locations nationwide. So next time you need to take your car in, show your neighbors some love and take it to your local Tire Pros. Tell them Dale sent you. It's time for the white flag. Dropped already this week, the teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Action's detrimental with winner Denny Hamlin and door bumper clear. Hopefully, with everything going on this weekend, none of those shows got us into any trouble. Dropping tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. And then Thursday, Dirty Bordeaux with Steve Letarte, Tampa Tims, and the Professor. They're going to tell you everything you need to know about the upcoming race weekend in Martinsville. DJD Reloaded is on Thursdays as well. Last week, we had Parker Klingerman and Jim Pullman join the show, and they discussed about crew members' roles in post-race altercations and things. Yeah, got a little interested.
They did.
Got heated. Tense. Weird. Awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you just never.
It was very entertaining.
I will say this, man. The Thursday DJD Reloaded show has been the most unpredictable thing we've done this year. It is.
You never know what you're going to get.
Leading the charge.
Yes.
You just don't know what's going to happen on that show.
Part of the beauty of it.
It is, and that's exactly. So, anyways, it's been a fun show. I feel much more relaxed, getting all that frustration off my chest. I love NASCAR, and I'm looking forward to this weekend. I enjoyed this race weekend at Richmond. I had fun. I thought it was a great race, and look forward to the next one. And looking forward to tomorrow with Bubba Pollard. Make sure you tune in. We'll see you then.